Hold reset. That's all I'm saying.
How's the Pixel?
Actually, it's really good.
Is it?
Yeah, I was just writing. I was just writing something up. I'll do a little first impressions thing. First impressions are all really positive. Although the the fingerprint reader is like a million times better, and it's not supposed to be. But then I just literally realized just like 5 minutes ago, the reason is I enabled face unlock. So if you actually look at the home screen when you're clicking the little button there, it says face unlock. Press the lock button to just
Mm-hmm.
unlock it basically. So it's not really the fingerprint reader that's working. So I'm gonna have to test it without that on. But anyway, it's good. It's obviously almost identical form factor wise to the phone I already have. Although nicer materials, aluminum around the edges and camera bump and stuff.
Your title
Pretty
should be
color.
"Shame me 5 or 6 times, and I'll probably buy the seventh."
I look, I there's a lot of reasons for me to be doing what I'm doing here, but I'm not like switching back to Pixel or anything. I'm not an idiot. I'm going to review it. I'll write about it. We'll see what next year looks like. The rumors for next year are that Apple is working on a periscope camera finally for telephoto, and supposedly we'll do 10x on probably the ultra model or whatever they decide to call it only, right? And honestly, if that happens, that might be the end of me ever thinking about Pixel again. But we'll see what they do too, because they have 5X this year on this one. It's supposed to be pretty good. I haven't tested that yet.
See, the
But
problem is that knowing Apple,
yeah,
we've only heard rumors new that they're going to do that periscope thing, which really means it's probably 2 years out.
I know. That's the thing. The only thing about my wife's phone that I love and would want over anything else is the telescope, the telephoto stuff. And I don't remember the exact numbers, but I want to say it's 10x optical, something like that. And it does probably 100x, space zoom, which is ridiculous, but really 20x is fine. And she takes pictures of the moon. It looks like you took them from a telescope. They're beautiful. Really fine
Which is a
detail.
hilarious conversation to have. That okay, 10x optical zoom on my phone, that's probably fine. That's ridiculous if you really think about it. Compared to where we started with these things.
Yeah, I mean, in the years before smartphones, and it was the Lumia 1020 that when I finally switched over to smartphones for photos, which was I think 2013.
Mm-hmm.
But in the 5 or 10, 15 year whatever it was before then, I used digital cameras. And one of the big things that happened, I think they were mostly Canon cameras, was you'd have this camera body and the
Yep.
lens could extend really far out, and you could do crazy zoom at levels. And I don't remember what they are now, but 40x probably, I think. And I remember going to the top of a tower. It wasn't like a castle or whatever, but it was some giant tower somewhere in Europe that summer, somewhere in the Netherlands, and taking a photo from the top of people on the ground walking around, and it was like a CIA spy satellite thing. We could read the license plate number from space. It was crazy. It felt like illicit, like I'm doing something wrong, So we're not there yet, but I mean, honestly, 5X is great. 10X, awesome. Obviously, I think if we can get iPhone and Pixel into that space where Samsung is on telephoto, there'll be further improvements, but whatever, at that point, that's what pretty much everyone needs and no more, So we'll get there. We'll get there. I will say overall, there's no question that the iPhone takes better videos, but from a photo perspective, I've already experienced this. I've only taken 3 photos, and you have that reassuring, oh, nice. Because there's a thing with the Pixel where you have some kind of a scene, and in my case, it's actually an indoor shot, but there's a big window and you can see outside, and the sky behind the trees is just grayed out. But when you look at it in real life, the sky behind the trees is blue and white and it's got clouds and whatever. And on a Pixel, you can tap in that space and it kind of brings it in. The iPhone is hit or miss. A lot of times you won't see it in the viewfinder, but sometimes it will take it in if you focus there. But oftentimes it doesn't. And so, with the iPhone, you get a lot of these kind of grayed out sky shots, which aren't great. The Pixel always gets those right. And I think that the Pixel also, it's hard to say. They don't do that kind of HDR thing that Samsung does, but they just give it enough of a pop color-wise. I just kind of prefer the quality of the photos or whatever that means, Like the iPhone's probably more realistic, but it's also kind of duller.
You're kind of duller. I don't know.
I know.
I didn't have anything to.
I know it's no. That's like I deserve it.
Yeah, I mean, I had nothing to add, so I came in with the cheap shot, which is.
No, listen. This is 50% of our relationship. It's fine. The other thing that's weird is like I'm on T-Mobile and I actually saw this headline and didn't register anything about it because who cares, but 10 days ago-ish, there was a story like T-Mobile has suspended self-service eSIM swaps. And I don't know why, like temporarily they're going to come, the idea here is that what I should be able to do is turn this thing on and it says, hey, you have an eSIM. Do you want to connect to mobile? Yes, I do. And it's like, which mobile carrier is it? You select T-Mobile, whatever it is. And it just does it. You type in your phone number, sign in, whatever. I don't know because I couldn't do it. So I had to call T-Mobile to have them make this switch. And it was, the woman was really nice. And it actually was humorous because we were in the middle of a call and the call dropped because the SIMs, you know what I mean? Like the SIM swapped. And I'm like, it was pretty much done. So I'm like, no big deal. But she actually called me back and then it rang on the other phone. And she's like, hey, sorry about that. We got dropped. I'm like, yeah, because the SIM swap worked, So hopefully that goes back to normal sometime because the beauty of eSIM is the ability to, move around really easily and have multiple profiles, whatever. Yeah. Anyway, it's great. It's fine so far.
Good.
It will disappoint me in the end, Brad. It always does.
It always does. I mean, usually it's like the little things like the connector starts to break, but doesn't fully break, and then you just slowly lose your sanity.
There's also just general, there are pluses and minuses to both platforms. Like one of the things I really enjoy and use every day on the iPhone is that you can what's it called? AirPlay to like the Sonos speakers from any app, So if I'll bring up like my podcast app, Pocket Casts, there's an AirPlay button right in the middle of the now playing screen. Pick the speaker and go. You don't have to use the Sonos app, which I hate.
Yeah.
And then you move back to this thing, and of course, this thing supports Chromecast. That doesn't work. And so there are a handful of apps where the app exposes other speakers somehow it's sort of like AirPlay. I think Audible might be one example, but most apps don't. And so like I can't play from Google YouTube Music to the Sonos speakers. I can't play from Pocket Cast to the speakers, and I do that every day on the iPhone. And so that's been the one that I can think of where I'm like, oh yeah, that was it. That's kind of better on iPhone.
I just thought of a really stupid idea, but it would make my life great.
AirPlay for Android?
Well, somebody in the forums, I'm looking at the front page of Throw right now, it says tech you're grateful for. And one of them, honestly, is still Sonos speakers. Like the amount of times we use Sonos speakers just all day, every day.
Oh yeah, me too. Same thing. Yep.
So here's my perfect setup. I don't know if this could be done, and I'm going to investigate. So right in front of me, you can't see it, is a Stream Deck. It's one of these little things that, you put up.
Not to be confused with the portable gaming thing.
The back just fell off the stand. This thing, which I use every day for this.
Sure.
But, it actually is magnetic. I don't even know. That's kind of nice. What would be amazing, frickin' amazing, is if I could so there's like 3 playlists that we listen to all the time. We add music. One of them is in our house running 95% of the time. It's called instrumental pop music. So it's pop music, but it's just the instrumental version, like played on like a violin or piano or whatever. It's great. It's great background noise. I would love to be able to set it up so on the Stream Deck, I screw that up all the time. Press that. It starts that Spotify playlist on all the speakers in the house. Because usually you have to go into the app, find the playlist. That would be...
So actually... This sounds like something you could do. Is this not a feature of the Home app in iOS or something? This sounds like a routine.
It could be
or a shortcut or some, whatever.
But there's like multiple, because I got to have Spotify involved. I got to have the Sonos app, and then the Sonos app has to be able to pick the group of speakers that I want it on. So like, there's a lot of things here. But if I could get that on a Stream Deck, then I could justify my stupid smooth brain buying another one of these for upstairs.
All right, let me ask you this question, because I'd actually, I like I said, I don't like the Sonos app, so I try not to use it that much. I feel like the only way this relationship is going to work is if I'm not confronted by that app. However, is there a way in the Sonos app to create a group of speakers? Because I know you can do it on the fly, right? But what you don't want to do is go in and out. Like, one of the problems, like, for example, like on a music night, I'll have music playing in the sunroom in the kitchen. And then the next day, I go up to that's a bad example. Well, the next day, what I want to do is play something just in the kitchen. But of course, I'm on an Apple device, so I want to do it from the other app. So when I go into I'll just make this up, Spotify, it will say kitchen plus sunroom.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't from there manage the,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
that's not possible. At
Right.
least.
So, no, but I mean, I wonder if there isn't a way to create a speaker group, because you could do this with, Google did this. Now, Google's stuff has been kind of
Oh, I
hobnobled
see what you mean.
because-
Created in the Home app.
Yes. Like, you could do this with Google. I haven't used the Google stuff in a million years, so I don't know if this got taken away, but you could have different things. It would say something like, I had one called Whole House.
Yep.
And it was exactly what you wanted to do. Every speaker that was connected at that time to Chromecast or Google Cast or whatever it's called could come up as a unit. But then you could go back and say just kitchen and sunroom, or just this, and this, you know. You should look into this, because I bet this is a thing.
Yeah. I mean, I would.
I think this is the point of the Home app, to combine things. And it may ultimately be the point of Matter that will maybe enable this if it doesn't work today.
I think what I want to do, what you just described, is probably one Matter away, right? Because it's got to all be in. Is Sonos supporting Matter? Of course, Sonos being Sonos, they're going to make me buy all new hardware or some sort of stupid.
So here's the thing. If Sonos appears in the Home app already, which it does.
Do they?
Doesn't it?
I don't know.
I don't have a thing in front of me.
We have the technology, and dear listeners who are captive.
Well, if it does, then it will work, right? Eventually, if it doesn't work today.
Although, honestly,
I don't know. Like in the Google Home app, which is similar but terribler. I think, the Sonos app, it's weird. Like, actually, so there is actually kind of a way to do what I was just complaining about. I'd have to do it through the Home app. I can actually target speakers from the Home app on Google. That's interesting. I'm never going to do that, but whatever.
I don't know if I actually know how to add the Sonos speakers to the Home app.
I'm sorry, I don't have my iPhone in here. I can't look at it, but I thought.
I don't
maybe
see
I'm wrong.
my speakers on here. That doesn't mean I haven't turned them off at some point.
Right. Apple. That's what it's called, right?
Yeah.
It's called Home. That's the name of it. Does
Add
Sonos...
people, add room, add automation, add accessory, but it wants to scan something, and it's like, no.
Well, this is a third-party site, but they say that newer Sonos devices do work with HomeKit.
What's newer?
Older generation Sonos devices work using a HomeBridge hub or device.
Fuck. Well,
I know,
hopefully nobody's listening to that, because the first thing it's like, man, now I got to buy a hub. I guess it depends like what generation they are.
I think Matter's going to solve this problem. So you might already have a Matter hub based on the fact that you use Hue lights. But like the new Apple TV is a what do you call it? A Matter hub. If that matters to you at all. I
can see some of the devices.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
If you got to go into whatever, like the drop down, I don't know what they call the widget world on iOS, like the little thing, and you can hit broadcast audio, and I can see some of my stuff.
Okay. Well, I mean, look, you could use AirPlay from that, what's that called? Control Center to do what we're describing, but you still have to go up, in, manually.
It's not, and it doesn't have some of my speakers. It doesn't have my old, okay, that makes sense now. It doesn't have the older Play ones that I have.
Okay. Well, there you go.
My wife's going to instantly figure out, like, why do we have new Play ones in the laundry room? We don't listen to music in there.
And then you're like, click. Now we do.
And then she's going to realize that because I have two Sonos Play ones on my computer desk, and I use them to play music all day long.
Okay. And they're not connected to your computer in any meaningful way. They're just
correct.
There to
like
play
they're
music.
not. If I'm doing a YouTube video, like listening to that, I put headphones on.
I have an extra
for
one
work
behind
calls,
me,
headphones are on.
And I often think of getting a second one. I wish I could use them with the computer.
I wonder
because the speakers, they sound great, but there's no way to do that. There's no line in or anything.
I wonder if I could use like a beam. This is going to get expensive.
Well, that's the Merry Christmas, everybody.
We're in debt.